All right. Good morning, everybody, and it's time for the Kelly Williams Show. Woo-hoo! All right. So I am so excited today, guys, because I've got, you know it, Randy C. Moore right here, singer-songwriter on the show today. And we're going to find out a little bit about Randy while he's going to be playing us some of his music. And it's so good. I cannot wait for this show to begin. So grab your coffee, grab your mimosa, and stay tuned because the show's going live right after this. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Randy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited for this show today. And listen, once people start really chiming in, I want to let you know you can actually make comments and talk to Randy live right here on the show. And if you have a question, we'll get it answered for you. So get ready. So Randy, oh my goodness, where are you from?
Well, I'm from Humble, Texas, which is a little bit north of Houston. Everybody knows that's when I was a kid, that's where the new airport was.
That's hilarious. So how long did you live in Humble?
Until I graduated high school. Then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and it was kind of a haphazard decision because I really wanted to go to art school, but I was going to go ahead and pursue music. So I moved to Nashville to basically perform and then go to college up there and stuff and everything. So
awesome. That's very cool. I love that. What age were you when you moved to Nashville?
I was 18. I mean, I actually already had a gig in Nashville. I was working for the Opryland Corporation up there. So I couldn't even go to graduation. It was like my orientation was the same week that everybody was wearing cap and gowns. So I had to skip all of that, you know. So, oh, well, I'm an adult. I don't need this stuff.
That's right. I'm out of here. Exactly. Okay, so, you know, it sounds like at an early age you have started playing music. When did you know you loved music and you wanted to play for a living?
Well, just to start out, I've always been sort of a ham as a little kid. And I found out that even though I loved painting and I love art and everything, I found out that I could get girls to like me if I learned how to play guitar and sing. So that was, and in a way, that's still sort of a motivation for me, although it's completely different than it was then. I just wanted attention and wanted girls to do what you're doing right now, smile and giggle and go, wow, okay, great, you know. What's your name? Can you do this song? You know. So that's kind of how it started out, you know, in school. And then I won a little talent contest in junior high. I sang a song called Dead Skunk in the Middle of the Road by Loudon Wainwright III. That tells you how much talent we had in our school. And you can win by singing.
And it won.
Yeah, you can win it by singing Dead Skunk in the Middle of the Road, then you know where you're at. That's a good barometer for Humble, Texas at the time.
You know you're in Texas when that's the song you're singing.
Good, buddy, that's it. So I didn't really get serious about it until I started writing songs. And for some reason, that was when my brother went off to college. And then he came back, and he was playing all these records. He had all these Willie Nelson records, and I would listen to his music through the walls of my room, and I would hear Willie Nelson's Shotgun Willie album, and then he would put on Led Zeppelin too. So all this stuff kind of just mixed around and everything. And when he was gone, it was very quiet. So I think all of a sudden I started, you know, playing my guitar and writing my own songs. And it didn't get serious until we actually went to a recording studio, and I did a recording session there in Houston. And the musicians really, they were much older than I was, and they responded like, "Oh, kid, you know, this is good." I was like, I had no idea if it was any good or not. So, so then going to Nashville was kind of a natural progression for me because I was kind of too young to be a full-time member of the Houston music scene, which had mostly to do with dance halls and nightclubs. I could go sit in, but at 16 years old, I was not going to put a band together and work every night from 10 o'clock to 2 a.m. It just
no, exactly. And I have to say that my daddy is watching right now, and he is an amazing musician. So I was excited that he was going to get to tune in today. Good morning, Daddy.
Hey, Dad.
Hey,
Dad. I have a question for you. If you remember a guy named Arch Yancey who used to be on KNUZ in Houston, Texas. He's a guy who helped me get started in the music industry. I used to play at Gillies every Thursday with Arch. He had a spot there. He had Gillies Club in Pasadena.
Nice.
He would get me up to do 2 or 3 songs. So that was kind of my introduction to playing live music to audiences and stuff, especially country audiences. And
absolutely. Well, I love that. But we're actually from Louisiana, and so didn't move to the Houston area till the late 80s or early 80s. So
I think Arch might have still been on the radio. I don't know.
Yeah. Nice.
Stuff changed a lot, in that time because everything was kind of switching over. It wasn't quite the way it is now. So, but it was getting there.
Yeah. Well, my brother ended up being a radio personality in Houston, late 80s, 90s.
Cool.
And so he may know who you're talking about. So that's awesome. Yeah. Yes. And good morning, Enrique. Happy great show, Kelly. Thank you so much for watching. And good morning. Yes, he remembers. Awesome. Very good. There you
remembers Arch Yancey on KNUZ. Yeah, that's my good friend, Randy Moore.
I love that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Randy, when you were growing up, did you have, who were your, I know you would hear Willie Nelson and Led Zeppelin and stuff through your brother's wall, but who were your favorite artists that when you'd sit down, you'd play their music?
See, I was the youngest in the family. I don't know if you can relate to this or not. I don't know where you are in your sibling deal, but I was the youngest. So anytime you're the youngest, you not only do you learn by example to not get in trouble, you also kind of like get influences that are borrowed from everybody in front of you. So my mom was playing Elvis Presley and Dean Martin records. My dad was playing Tom T. Hall and Johnny Cash records, and my brother was playing Led Zeppelin, the Beatles' White Album, Willie Nelson, and Waylon Jennings' Are You Ready for the Country album. So all of these things sort of influenced me musically, and the only singles that I had were basically John Denver records of all things. And people, nobody really wants to admit that they were influenced by John Denver, but I really was actually.
I loved him. Loved John Denver.
I did play Gillies, by the way.
Yellow Rain. That's exactly. So very, very cool.
So that was kind of one of my main influences. I thought, wow, that guy, I really like him. But I was young. See, I was probably 12, 13 years old. Then when I got a little older, some of those country radio guys that they really sort of creeped into my consciousness. And I think two of the main ones, one was Willie Nelson, because there was just something about him. Then there's something about Willie Nelson you cannot describe. Okay. Everybody has their own descriptions. But Willie is definitely an X Factor guy. And what I mean by X Factor, I mean, you can't explain why it's really good because it is so different. But there was another guy he was a Memphis guy, and he ended up making records in Nashville. His name was Ronnie Millsap. And we're going to talk about him a little bit later. But when I heard his records on the radio, I thought, wow, if they're making records like that in Nashville, that's where I need to go to learn to make records and maybe see if I can't get somewhere.
Absolutely.
That was my idea, really, moving to Nashville to be like those guys. And I love that. In a way, it worked out for me because I didn't have to change so much of what I was. I could really be who I was, even though I did a lot of different things. Today, I'm kind of the sum of all those things, and so it's kind of cool. Oh, look at that! See,
I love it. That's right. And you're right. John Denver never got any recognition. I agree with that. I don't think he got enough recognition. He was really talented.
He got plenty of recognition at the bank. Let me tell you that.
I think that's probably all he cared about.
Listen, like I said, and you'll hear from other people. They go, we're kind of hiding in the closet,
Exactly. Okay. So when we started the show, we didn't get to hear you play a song yet.
Right.
And so I want you to play us a little tune right now. We got Randy C. Moore on the show, ladies and gentlemen. What's the name of this song?
This is called I Sold a Lot of Beer. Now, this is a little bit of a true story. I'm just going to do a little bit of it, and you can get the gist of it. It goes like this. Well, it hasn't been a joyride. Then again, it ain't so bad at all. My dreams of superstardom got to midair and then went into a fall. Rubbing elbows with the famous never quite rubbed off on me. I got a lot of mileage from the things I got to see. No, not much of a joyride. That's all right by me. I sold a lot of beer in Nashville, never saved a dime. I sell a lot of beer in Texas and have a better time. If the foolish and the fortunate can be the best of friends, I'll be drinking with my buddies in the end. There you go. That's awesome. Most of these songs that I've been writing are sort of personal autobiographical. So all that's true. You know, moved there, rubbed elbows with famous people, got to do a bunch of stuff. Never got to be the big, the big, huge, superstar or whatever, but didn't matter. Sold a bunch of beer. And I tell people all the time, because when you do this for a living, especially when you do it regularly on a basis like what I do, a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm in here to get discovered and it's all about me. And I just sit them down and I say, look, you are here to make sure that those people at the bar are making money. You are selling beer. Okay. Yeah. So just remember, you're here. It's good that you're here. It's an opportunity and people get to hear you. But your main goal is to keep them there so they can keep drinking beer. So whatever you have to do that, that's what I tell them. So
I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Great song. Okay, Lorraine, yes, she knows Willie and Millsap have special pictures with Millsap. He really doesn't like taking pictures with people. Willie lives down the road from her.
Hey, awesome. Hey, will you say hey to Willie for us, please? Tell him he can come on right now if he wants to.
That's right. We'll clock him in immediately.
Give him a shout. I'll step aside for Willie.
I don't even want you stepping aside. I think all three of us will fit on the camera just fine. Yeah. So, hey, Jenny, good morning. And guys, that song is available on randycmoore.com website. So we love that. Love that. Okay. So, Lorraine, where are you playing, Randy?
I'm playing mostly in East Texas. I'm doing things. I'll be down in Humble this Friday, actually, at a place called Green Oaks Tavern. It's on Main Street, and it used to be the jail back in the old days. And my English teacher and her husband actually turned this thing into a listening room. So it's a wonderful little place, the Green Oaks Tavern on East Main in Humble, Texas. I'll be there from 9 to midnight this Friday. So if anybody in the Houston area wants to come check me out, that's a good place. And then I'll be up. Where am I going to be after that? Oh, I'm going to be at a place in Nacogdoches called Jethro's, it's Jethro's with an EAUX. Like it's supposed to be sort of a Cajun Jethro. So
that's hilarious.
Probably pronounced like this, Jethro's. Yeah. So, we're going to Jethro's to play.
That's right, yeah. Come on down to Jethro's.
Yeah, so I'll be there on Saturday night from 6:30 to 9:30 playing. So, but anybody who wants to check out my website, which is at randyinitialcmoore.com, my schedule's on there. I'm really, really, really busy. I'm really, really grateful to everybody who's basically giving me a shot or basically bringing me back for another, deal, because apparently I haven't messed that up yet. So that's good.
Well, I love it.
So I'm here. I'm fairly local. I used to travel a lot, and I will be traveling again one of these days. But I've been to all over the darn map. The globe, Shanghai. The Middle East, Monte Carlo, the Faroe Islands, Copenhagen. And people say, well, why do you charge so much money to go to these places? I said, you know what? If you'll come to my house and I play for you, I won't charge anything. I'm just charging you a moving fee. That's all it is.
Exactly. No, that is awesome. And Lorraine said that Willie would he would love that. He'd love to go on the show with us. Come on, Willie.
Come on, Willie.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, nice. Yes. And here is Randy's. You can go to his website, find out where he's playing. He is a local boy. We love that.
Yeah.
So we can go hear him anytime. That is awesome. And okay, Jeffrey, he is kicking it in Tyler County Memorial Day weekend. Awesome. Yeah, that is fantastic.
Hey, Jeffrey. I know Jeffrey. He's been a lot of
Nice.
help. He's been a big help here.
Nice. And guys, listen, if you are just joining us, I am interviewing the amazing Randy C. Moore, and he's been playing us some tunes. We're about to have him play another song in just a minute, but we're talking about his experience, life on the road, life as a musician, things he's gotten to do. It's been so awesome. Grab some coffee, grab a mimosa, because sit down with us right now and come on and check out the rest of this show. And look, guys, if you have a question for Randy or want to make a comment, let us know. Comment it. We'll get it answered for you right here live on the show. And please share this show. Somebody's going to get some joy out of this today, I'm going to tell you. Okay, so Randy, you actually played at the Grand Ole Opry at 18.
Yeah.
Okay,
First
so
Bill.
what the heck? Tell us about that.
Well, when you work for the corporation, you work at an amusement park that they used to have up there. It's gone now. And every summer they would pick about 6 people out of the shows to perform a main spot on the Grand Ole Opry, be a guest. So I got to be a guest on Roy Acuff's show on the Opry. And it was really something because, first of all, they never do a show in there unless it's sold out. Every seat is usually sold. And of course, Mr. Acuff at the time was called the King of Country Music. So everybody loved Mr. Acuff. And if Mr. Acuff liked you, then doggone it, you were in and everybody liked you. And so I was no exception to that, because I walked out on stage with an outfit that my grandmother had made me. And it was a white jumpsuit that had sequins on it and everything. And of course, all the people who knew me had never seen this thing, and they were all sitting down on the floor because they had just come from the show that I was performing in, and all their mouths dropped open like, "What is that?" You know. And I did 2 songs. I did a song. I'd had a record out in Texas. It was a version of a good old Mountain Dew, and it did pretty well. And so I did that for Mr. Acuff with him and his band. And then I did an old Jim Reeves song called "He'll Have to Go." And then of course we sang "I'll Fly Away" at the end of the show. That was always, Mr. Acuff always ended his show with "I'll Fly Away." He loved the old Hank Williams song, "I'll Fly Away." He was big. Mr. Acuff he had a way of doing things that there was always a thread of spirituality running through whatever he did. Even when he was having fun and poking fun and making jokes, there was always a sweetness and a kindness to what he did. But what a huge, ridiculous thrill and not even imagined kind of a thing. And a lot of things that's happened for me have been kind of like, I didn't imagine this, and I can't believe that I got to do this.
Yeah.
So the Opry is definitely way up there on that one for sure. And what a fun show it is, because everyone in the audience, it as big as the place is, as big as the Opry House is, and I'm not talking about the Ryman, I'm talking about the Opry House, the newer one.
Yeah.
As big as it is, it still felt like when I was playing in my parents' living room, I felt like I was among people who they were in it with me. They were like, okay, we're with this guy. We're with him, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. What do you remember? Well, first of all, Jeffrey, check out his article in East Texan Magazine.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Very cool. Guys, go read about Randy in East Texan Magazine. That's awesome. What do you remember, when you walked out on that stage to perform?
Well, I think the first thing that came to me as I walked out there is unless you've ever done something like that, and it's happened a few times, unless you've ever done something like that, the first thing that happens to you is it feels like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah. You
feel like you're watching somebody else do this. But then you realize you need to get a hold of yourself because you're going to trip over your own feet. So I was definitely very nervous, even though I knew exactly what I was going to do. Everybody knew what their part was, but it's just like anything else. It's like going fishing with a fishing guide. A fishing guide will tell you, when you go fishing with a fishing guide, they're all like real confident, but they're sweating it out until you catch that first fish. And once you do that, everything's good. Okay, now we're okay now. It's the same thing. Those first few notes that I would start out with, I was so nervous. I even looked at the audience in the microphone and I said, "Are you guys as nervous as I am?" And that's exactly what I said. And they were all like, everybody, it really made everybody really quiet at that point because they thought,
Yeah.
"Uh-oh, this guy's going
Oh.
to." It didn't
I
happen.
love that. But it brings that reality home,
Yeah.
you know,
So
and there's all that support that people want you to do good.
it was, and it's hard to fathom, all the things that are swirling around. And really, instead of having a thought in your head, most of the time, your best bet is to put everything out of your head, because just like a good golfer, they never think about the swing when they're addressing the ball. They just do it, So
Yeah.
they put all those fundamentals out of their head. So at that point, even at 18, for some reason, something kind of took over automatic and made me sort of just shut all the fundamentals out of my head and go, just remember the words to the song, dude. Just remember the words to your song. You'll be fine.
Exactly. And hey, Jenny, yes, great memory. That is so cool. Okay, so you talked about some of the artists that influenced you. Has that changed at all the older you've gotten? Do you still listen to? Do you still have that tendency to still love those same artists and kind of hone your music a little bit to that kind of sound still, or has that changed a little bit for you?
No, it didn't change for me at all. I still go back and listen to the old records. I listen to whatever it is that they're doing that's current. I listen to all kinds of stuff, but I really have had a saying for a while now, and I think it fits. I don't know, but I think it fits. And this is true of anything in entertainment or really anything else. With music, there's good music and there's not so good music, and so I try to just stick with the good music as much as I can, and try just not to spend my time with the not so good music. That doesn't mean that there's things out there that I'm not particularly fond of that aren't great. It just means that, at a certain point, it comes down to taste. And when I'm doing what I'm doing, it all stems from the thought that I'm going to do something that I want to live with, that I'm going to love first. If I don't love it first, if I have a kid or a dog, if I don't love that kid or that dog first, why should I expect anyone else in the world to love it?
Yeah.
So if it originates from you and you do it with love in your heart and you do it with the right reason. So that's kind of what those musical influences are about. They're just things I love. It's not particularly some sort of style or some sort of, because I like all kinds of styles. I mean, I'm a huge Muddy Waters fan. I love listening to Muddy Waters, Albert King. These blues guys, these old blues guys, are just the greatest. And I will turn those records up and I will listen so closely just at the little nuances in their voices and the way that they're playing their guitars. And I'll just go, man, that has just got so much soul in it. And it's little things,
Yeah.
So it's for me, the influences never change, but I do find new stuff that I go, okay, there's a guy named Hayes Carl. I think he's a Beaumont guy. He's been doing some stuff for a while now. He's a Texas artist. He's amazing. I think he's amazing. I think his songs are just great. I love what he does. I love how he does them. He calls himself not a poet, but a drunk with a pen. But he has this sense of humor about him, and he injects it into his songs, and it gives you food for thought. And I like songs that make you think. I don't like people that make you think, but I do like songs that make you think.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so you actually wrote songs with Carl Perkins.
Yep.
I mean, that's how awesome is that really? Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and, how Carl has, even though he's passed away, of course, how he's influenced your music at all?
Well, at a younger age, I didn't really realize I was listening to Carl. He was the guy who was playing most of the guitar work on those Johnny Cash records my dad was listening to.
Wow.
So Carl joined up with Johnny's band because Carl got disenchanted with the music industry. He got to where he was like, these kids that I'm playing for, they're just too wild. They're hurting one another out here in these shows. So he just quit. He said, I'm going back home. So he went back home. And then Johnny said, well, I'm out here doing these shows. There's a little more tame. Why don't you come out here and play with me? I'll add you to the show. So if you ever watch the Johnny Cash television show, he always gives Carl spots. Carl will do one of his songs. And of course, Carl is back there playing with the band. He's pretty much leading the band playing guitar. So he was one of my guitar influences, because Carl's guitar influences, they kind of mix Chet Atkins with Merle Travis. And then, of course, Chuck Berry. There's a lot of rock and roll and country influences that he sort of blended with his own style. I mean, he invented rockabilly, which, is kind of country is like there's a little country, right? This is rockabilly with the same chord.
Amazing.
So
yeah.
The difference is just, it's like he souped it up is what he did. He took those old country things and he souped it up. So when I met Carl, I believe it was in the last year of his life, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
We sat down with his daughter and we wrote a song that day, and we had another couple that we were going to work on. And Carl was an amazing person, because if he liked you, and he knew it in 5 minutes, okay? He was one of those people. He was intuitive. If he liked somebody, he knew it in 5 minutes, and he'd do anything for you.
Yeah.
If he didn't like you, he wasn't a rude person. He was a kind person. He just wouldn't do anything to help you or cater to you or anything like that.
Yeah.
So he was a good soul. He was very honest, and anybody who ever met him they're always amazed at what a genuine person he really was. And everything that you've ever heard about Carl Perkins that has anything to do with honesty or being genuine is absolutely true. It is is not put on at all. It's not an act. It's really who he is. So he and I wrote this song with Debbie called Blood Brothers, and it's an amazing little song, and it may end up going somewhere one of these days pretty soon. I don't really know. But one of the next songs that we wrote was a song about a golf club of his that got stolen. Now, he had gotten a golf club from Callaway Gardens called a Big Bertha. Anybody who's a golfer knows these.
That's right.
They've got a head face on them about this big, so you can't miss the ball. And they usually that's right. They usually sell them to old guys like me. The problem is you hit the ball so far, you forgot where the darn thing went. So, so Carl had this thing with him, and somebody stole it out of his golf bag at the golf course one day while he was going in to get himself a beer or something. So it made him mad. He went home, and he was fuming around his house, and his daughter showed up. Debbie showed up, and he told her what happened. She said, well, Daddy, you ought to just write a song about this. This sounds like a good story. So after he quit fuming, he sat down and started writing some words out. And then I showed up again, and we all worked on this thing together. And we turned out this song that ends up being on a Ronnie Milsap record 21 years later. Now, people who write songs, listen to me. 21 years ago, this song was pretty much done. And it's been kind of sitting there just waiting for its chance. So let me do a little bit of it for you right now, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah. We're ready.
This is Big Bertha. Well, I'm sitting here wondering, where's my long, tall baby now? Yeah, I'm sitting here wondering, where's my long, tall baby now? 'Cause somebody came and stole her and left me on the bottom side of down. I used to take her out on Saturday, and a swinging we would go. Yeah, I'd take her out on Saturday, and a swinging we would go. Woo. Now I would do most anything just to swing my gal once more. You know it. She always felt like a dream right here in my hands. Any cat who played around her would understand why I'm blue with that hound dog barking up a tree, crying, please, 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 Big Bertha, come on home to me. All right, come on home to Daddy. Here we go. Well, I know she's just a golf club, but she always set me free. Yeah, I know she's just a golf club, but she always set me free. You know that's right. So if you see my Big Bertha, tell I gotta hit a few for me.
Wow, that was awesome.
That's a little bit of most of it is what I like to say.
Oh yeah, a little bit much. That was fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so really quickly, we got some people chiming in. Jenny, yes, great song. So good. That was great. And good morning, Nancy. She's watching from the Philippines this morning.
Morning,
good
Nancy.
Morning. And Christine Mateo watching from the Philippines as well this morning.
Wow.
Hi, everybody.
What time is it in the Philippines right now? Or what day is it? What day is it?
Y'all tell us what time it is there. I can't remember what time she said when they watched the show. What time it is there. My daddy said, sing a duet with Randy. I'll Fly Away would be great. Daddy, you know what? I'd love it, but there's a delay. And so doing harmonies on live streaming on this podcast thing, it doesn't always work. So it may not work out.
Like this. I'll fly away, way, oh, glory. I'll fly away.
There we go.
Hallelujah. Bye, and bye.
Hey, but Daddy, you know what? I'm gonna make a point to go sing with Randy sometime. Well, we can do a little I'll Fly Away together. That'd be awesome. That's a great idea.
I'll come out. I'll come down to you. We'll do one where we can all be on the same camera.
That would be fantastic. I'd love it. And sure. Nancy said it's 11:35 p.m. there.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And Nancy's friend Christine Mateo, her daughter was just in Miss Universe pageant. She was Miss Universe Philippines. So wow. In top 20 at Miss Universe. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Very cool. Very cool. And thank y'all so much for I think I can also sing. Exactly. That's hilarious. Okay, so that song is fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so Randy, you know,
Can I get you off track here?
Yeah, I'm gonna get off track and talk a little bit. You're all I'm thinking is about the Big Bertha song. It's hysterical. COVID 2020 was tough on everybody. Musicians were one of the biggest sufferers from that because live performances got canceled, shows got canceled, appearances got canceled. I mean, so many things happened to the music industry during COVID, and people had to pivot and figure out different ways. How did you, as an artist, handle that last year? What did you do?
One of the best years of my life.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I moved to Texas, bought a home here in Lufkin, basically recorded an entire new album, started working on another album. I've got a Christmas album that'll be appearing at the 1st of November this year. I've got another album that will be appearing that I've co-produced with a good friend of mine named Norbert Putnam, which will be appearing next year, probably sometime February, something like that. Nice. So I was able to afford myself creative time that I hadn't been able to before, simply because so much live performance time. I mean, heck, you know, if you're a plumber, the last thing you're going to want to do is go home and work on the sink when you get home. So yeah. I'm out playing. So it was a little harder for me to come home and go, all right, now I'm going to sit down and spend 10 hours, you know, creating and crafting a recording or a song or something like that. Yeah. So I got to really, you know, kind of explore a lot more of what I was doing. And really the break was good for me physically because I was able to kind of bounce back. My wife was able to bounce back. She'd been managing 2 boot stores in Nashville for like 15 years. Oh so we were both just, we were ready for a break, and it was a forced break. And I see so many good things that really happened from that. I mean, we all saw the pictures of all the cleaner air and people actually being forced to go, you know what? You need to look inside. You need to look at be thankful for things. Okay?
Exactly.
So I think it was rough on a lot of people financially, but I think I think it showed people that you can survive without having to have all those things coming at you all the time and just going out and just killing yourself for $1. There's nothing wrong with good, honest work. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But don't love what's the most important thing in your life, and what the most important thing in your life is your happiness.
Yeah.
And you have to make up your mind to be happy. And people had to make up their mind once they got past the idea that, well, let's see, I really can't go to work, or really can't go anywhere. I need to take up something here at the house that I'm going to enjoy. And a lot of people did that. So I think the effect of all of this is going to be, it's going to be felt for many years. And I'm not talking about the negative effect. I'm talking about the positive effect of what happened. I don't know of any other event that could have happened that would have had, would have sustained as little damage and still had as a positive effect as it had. Of course, there was a lot of damage that was done. There were a lot of people who lost their lives. There was a lot of sickness, and there were a lot of people who gave everything they had, to make sure that people were getting better. My hat's off to all those folks. But I'm telling you, Kelly, I'm telling you right now, the positive bounce from anything negative, there's always a nice big positive bounce, and we're going to feel that. You and I are going to benefit, and we're going to be good stewards and caretakers of that positive bounce, because it's starting right now. It's happening, and everybody's feeling it.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And I'm going to tell you, I think that, one thing that so many people learned, if they didn't already have a positive attitude about it, is that things are going to happen in life, and it's how you deal with them. And you can either take the negative road, or you can take the positive road and figure out how to make life better and be grateful for what you have, and use those blessings also to keep helping others. And I think that has really, I completely agree with you. And I think that a lot of lessons have been learned, and a lot of good ones that will continue to make life better for a lot of people.
Well, for me and for a lot of people I know, it was definitely a Jesus take the wheel deal. I'm going to sit over in the ride and see where we're going.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell you, that's exactly right. Okay, so you are working with the legendary record producer, Norbert Putnam.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that is really, really exciting, Randy.
Okay, Norbert, people who don't know who Norbert Putnam is, he basically was one of the first people to invent what's called the Muscle Shoals sound. He was one of the beginning guys of the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. Now, if you're not familiar with Muscle Shoals, they recorded people like Aretha Franklin, there's a lot of great artists that came out of there. Shenandoah was actually from the Muscle Shoals sound. So there's a lot of great records. Wilson Pickett made a lot of great records down there. So it was basically the soulful sound of the South came out of Muscle Shoals as much as it was coming out of Memphis. Nobody really believed it, but Norbert was one of those guys. And he moved to Nashville, and he started working on record sessions there. He played on Elvis sessions. Your dad would know a lot of the records that he played on. He played on Bobby Goldsboro's hit "Honey."
Wow.
So he's an accomplished musician. But one of the main things that happened to him was he sort of backed into being a producer by doing Joan Baez's double album, which had a song called "The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down," which was to date Joan Baez's biggest hit. Now, it was a game changer, not only for Nashville, because it was recorded at Norbert's studio in Nashville, but it was also a game changer for folk music, because it turned folk music more into a mainstream commodity, which it really hadn't been up to that point. It had been a little bit, but nobody was really sitting up and going, nobody was really paying that much attention until that happened. They went, oh my gosh, this is huge. Yeah. So Norbert was helpful in doing that. He basically turned Jimmy Buffett's sound into what it is. They sort of invented that sound that he has with all the vibes and the tropical things and everything. They invented it. They turned it out on the first album they worked on, which contained a little hit called Margaritaville.
Just a little hit.
Yeah, and so Norbert worked with Jimmy. He worked with a well-known guy that my brother used to have this guy's records in college because he wanted to make girls think he was a sensitive guy. The guy's name was Dan Fogelberg that Norbert produced.
Oh my gosh.
So if you were
That's
in college,
awesome.
if you were in college at the time and you wanted to make girls think you were a sensitive guy, you would play a Dan Fogelberg record. You know, he was he was sort of the Josh Groban of his day, so to speak. Oh, he's so sensitive. You know,
That's hilarious.
he sings from his heart. He's reaching out to me. He's singing to me. So I met Norbert when we were working on an Elvis Presley show, a tribute show in Nashville, because Norbert played on a lot of Elvis's records, and
Awesome.
so we were on the board of directors of this thing. I can't believe I'm on a board of directors of anything. That had to be a mistake. So Norbert and I got to know each other, and so we started working together and writing songs. And one thing led to another, and it's turned into a really long friendship. I've known him now since around 2000. I'm gonna say it was probably 2008, maybe, or 2000.
Wow.
So I've known him for about 10 years, 11 years or so. So we work together quite a lot. And so the album that I'm doing with him now, or is pretty much finished, is a co-production. He said, well, I want you to co-produce it with me. And I said,
nice.
Okay. So he had enough confidence in what I was doing. And of course I had plenty of confidence in Norbert. So we're great friends. Norbert still goes out and does these things on Elvis weekends. He'll be on a panel and they'll ask him questions, and he'll tell stories about the king, you know.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good reason to hang around him, because you get to hear all these cool stories too.
Yeah, I bet. Well, and that must be why his name was so familiar to me.
Yeah.
You know, that is so exciting. Okay, so Randy, I want to ask you, what do you think has been, well, first of all, how long have you, I'm not asking your age, but how long have you been performing?
Oh, I'm 61. I've been doing this.
You're young. Yeah.
I've been doing this since I was about 13 years old, with a guitar in my hand. Before that, I was with a little singing group, and you know, we sang at the lunch table and stuff. And
I love it.
The girls thought we were cute, and we thought, wow, we're on to something here. We don't have to play football.
Exactly.
So that's but I've been playing the guitar and singing for folks since I was about 13 or 14 years old. And I quit a few times, just like anybody else. It either quit me or I quit it, but I always came back to it. And when I came back to it, it was always better and more fresh. So anybody who's out there who does that, or who does this for a living, I tell them, when they say, do you have any advice for anybody who wants to do this or is doing it? I just tell them, don't do this unless you love it. If you don't love it, it's not your expectations will never be met. But if you love it, you'll always meet your expectations, because you'll love what you're doing.
Exactly. Great point. Because I was just going to ask you, what piece of advice would you give songwriters or singers or performers or anybody who's, you know, kind of wondering about that? Because, you know,
if you love it, you will find your way. Okay.
Absolutely.
If you go with any other train of thought or any other conscious decision, then you will probably lose your way. So just always just love it. Just do that first, and you will find your way. And whatever it is that's supposed to be you're destined to do, or whatever you're supposed to be, it will find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Randy, what do you think has been one, and there's probably many things about this, but what has been one of your very favorite things about being able to play your guitar and write songs and perform?
My favorite thing is to basically be able to have people not take their worries away for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, even just a few minutes away from your worries really helps you. And if that's a pebble I can drop in a pond to kind of, you know, create some waves of good feeling and feeling good and happiness, that's my job. People ask me what I do all the time. I said, what is it that you do for a living? I said, well, I don't put a roof on a house. I don't pave a road. I don't have somebody come into an office and I, you know, give them a vaccination or, you know, check their blood pressure or anything. I make people feel good. for a little while. That's all I do. And if I can do that, if I've done that for one person, if I'm on a stage and I'm in front of 20 people or 20,000, if I can make one person, if I can change their day for something a little bit better, that's my job.
I love it. I agree with you, and I think that's what music does for people, and we're so happy that you're such a big part of that and really making a difference in this world, making people happy.
Believe me, I'm the fortunate one. So
yeah, it's wonderful. Okay, so Randy, how can people follow you on social media and find your schedule of where you're going to be playing?
Okay, the first place to go is randyinitialcmore.com. That's the main thing. If you want all the hard truth and the evidence, there's where it is. Yeah. All the other stuff I've got, just like everyone else. It seems like that everybody who has a house these days seems to have like 20 front doors. So I'm on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, Randy C. Moore, Randy C. Moore Music, friends of Randy C. Moore. And I don't know what other things they're going to come up with, but I'm sure I'm going to have to sign up for that as well. So at this point, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but most of all, the website is the best place to go because you can find out where I'm playing. You can see videos of my songs. You can find my records and go get them on iTunes or Amazon, or you can even order one, if you want like a physical copy. So
nice.
All that kind of stuff is there. That's kind of ground zero for my source material, so to speak.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I cannot tell you how much fun this has been to get to spend the past hour with you, visiting about your amazing life accomplishments and hear some of your incredible music. So exciting. I'm gonna head out as soon as I can and try to go hear you play somewhere because that's gonna be a good show. I know that's a good show. Randy, I want you guys, first of all, go follow Randy C. Moore, find his schedule, go see this guy play. He is an incredible talent, has done so much for country music, and we're so thrilled that he's been on the show today. Thank you for watching the Kelly Williams Show. Randy, thank you for being here. And guys, y'all can catch the Kelly Williams Show every week live right here on Facebook and YouTube. And Randy is going to take us out with a song. What are you going to play?
It's about going fishing.
All right.
1,000,000 stars were in the sky, 4 a.m. on the 5th of July. We headed out to Toledo Bend. Me and Daddy going fishing again. He said we'll be there in an hour or so. Charlie Rich was on the radio. I said, I hope that we get lucky today. He nodded his head, then I heard him say, if the good Lord's willing and the mercury runs, we'll be on the water before the sun. With rods, reels, and spinner baits, we'll cast our troubles out into the lake. 'Cause life is a whole lot better when the fishing's fine. There's a little bit of heaven at the end of that line. Thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh my gosh. So good. Randy, thank you so much. Appreciate you a lot. Have an awesome day and an awesome weekend, and we will see you soon. And I want you live in the studio with me somewhere where we can do a little bit of a duet. That'd be really fun.
Agreed.
We'll work on that. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. And Jenny, yes, thank you. Great show. Thank you, Jenny, as well, for making this happen. Randy C. Moore, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Kelly Williams Show. See y'all later. Bye.